Hello guys, I'm back to a brand new review. I have now started on my Doctor Who run. The only problem is now I finished it on Unearthly Child, of course. I've done the pilot and the actual story. The only problem now is I'm on the diets. It's going to take forever. So whenever I get to doing the diets, I'll do that. The review is an Unearthly Child, the pilot, and the thing. The thing is I writ it on here and I writ it like scribbly. So, further ado, here we go. Yeah, there's two places, a school and junkyard. Two smart teachers, but they're very fascinated with her people. And it's funny because this story has the first mention of John Smith or something. I heard it and I thought I'd write that down. That's there. Half of this I can't read because I could really write do it in a thing. So right, I'll just say it in how I think. So this is like the pilot in episode 1. So there are like little bit of differences, like words are said differently. One is where the door is actually open, so of course I had to correct it a bit better. So yeah, of the TARDIS, the door was open, if you know, in the first primo, which is cool that they include that. I'm not saying that's not wrong with including it. Of course, there's going to be problems with the pilot. You know, it's the first episode, which actually makes good sense to show that. They showed how it was bad and how they made it better. Got nothing wrong with that. So that's that. So basically, the story starts with two teachers. They're out of school. Well, a policeman, if you want to be correct, but the policeman doesn't really do nothing. He just, walks into a school. There's two teachers. One's a science teacher. One's a history teacher. Now, the science teacher, I think, is Ian Wright, and the history teacher is, of course, Barbara Wright, Ian Wright, Ian Chesterton, and Barbara Wright. Um, um, she starts saying, because there's a girl in there called Susan. She starts, because there's flashbacks. She starts, saying this is right and this is wrong, or why bother doing this? I'm more clever than this, and she starts showing them up, and the teachers become very suspicious. They talk about it, of course, in this whole little scheme of things. Um, Basically, they're basically the same as the pilot. So they think they hear something, but they follow her because they're very well. I've got to think about it. In this time of age, that would be called stalking, but because they're worried, they follow her and all that, and because they know about her grandfather, they follow her into a junkyard. Now, the junkyard, for one, if you really think she was, kissing a boy making love to a boy, why would you follow her in? And you go in there, and there's her granddad, and he's outside a police box. Now, anyone sensible would think, maybe he could, phone for, help. Now, the problem I have here is, you know, Ian said, well, I'm going to phone for the police. Now, why couldn't Ian stay there and Barbara go off in the car? And maybe Barbara can't drive, I don't know. Or walk it, back. I know it's pitch black and it's dangerous, but she could have easily walked back and, got a policeman. Now, how would, I'm not being nasty here, how would poor old Win Hartnell, the first Doctor, get away so easily? He wouldn't. I wouldn't believe he would get away so easily anyways. So he got no escape. But then they start hearing music anyway, so take that away. They start hearing music. Susan, they go in there. They go in the police box. There, they find a whole new world. And they start fighting, like, let us out, all that rubbish. And the Doctor starts to take off because they're like, you don't believe us anyway, so we're going to go anyways. He's like, we can't let them go now anyway, so we're off. And that's it, really. And of course, they faint for some reason. Don't ask me why they both faint. That was one of them. I can understand. Brother fainted. A lot of things happened to Ian, but not, Barbara. So I would understand about Ian, but rather fainting, she fainted in a chair like this. So I really didn't understand that. Um, Episode 2. So basically, how it ends is really cool. The cliffhanger, which you could say it's a caveman anyways, because it's a shadow of a man who looks like he's in drags and it's a desert he, plays. So it looked like cavemen. But the thing is, the TARDIS didn't say the era, the time, or nothing. And that's something I absolutely, love because it don't, there's no real time period you can say about, the cavemen and all that. So I really did like that. They didn't actually say, well, it was thingy Bob BC, whatever BC. So the cavemen. So man's thing is to do create things. So they try to create the wheel. They try and create fire. I can't think of anything else. We try to create the TV, the light bulb, and all that. Um, they try and create fire. There's not been a fire for ages. They can't cook anything. They can't make anything. Blah 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 blah. And they're on about, well, they did see fire a long time ago. This old lady, and she fires not to for them to do it. The travellers eventually do wake up. They walk outside the TARDIS. Of course, the Doctor is actually on his own, and this is usually weird because the companions usually go off on their own. This time, it's the Doctor who goes on his own in his first adventure, which is kind of strange. And he's smoking a pipe. And of course, the caveman sees this, and he's like, "Oh, fire from his hands! Ooh!" And he must have collapsed or something because next minute we know the cavemen are actually carrying the Doctor back to the cave, where they are. And of course, Susan, Ian, Barbara have woken up. Well, Susan, Barbara and Ian have woken up by now. They went out to TARDIS, and they couldn't find the Doctor anywhere. So try and read this as goodly as I can. Hopefully, you can understand half of it too. So basically, another thing I got from this as well. So this is what I figured out from the actual story, this episode 2, that the Doctor and Susan, before actually going to an Earth, before the story, an earthly child, that in that actual episode they mention about having other adventures. So is that in the TARDIS? Is that in anywhere? Where is that? Is that in the TARDIS? Is that just in the home planet? I don't know about that one. Um, So there's two basically cavemen. One's a leader, one's trying to take control. He took control. I think the guy must have burnt or something, I can't remember. Um, and they keep fighting over and over. And then suddenly in that the Doctor's no, that's it. The Doctor's friends came in, and they started fighting with them. Of course, they all get chained up. The Iron Man says he knows how to make fire, and that's it. They basically get chained up. Then in episode 3, they do escape, and the main guy tries to help them. The main guy, and he says, if you show me fire, I will let you go. Of course, he weren't interested in that anyways, but he said, I will let you go. Because the old woman let them go eventually. The old woman did let them go. I didn't even mention that. The old woman let them go. from the beginning. Um, and then they, of course, this is a bit back and forward. This is what I didn't like about that story. It was so back and forward. So 1 minute they got captured, then they went escape into the woods where a lot of monsters and all that were, and of course the main caveman got attacked by one, and they tried to fix him up, and then they tried to do a bargain with him, and then they were trying to get back to TARDIS, but they wanted to help the caveman after the caveman getting hurt by the beast, which is weird. Um, yeah, they got back to the actual cave. I mean to the TARDIS, yeah, because it was called a mini cave, whatever. Um, and then they had to surrender, and that's how it ends. The next day they will cause fire. For us, of course, they're in there. Um, the actual caveman sets them free, and the wife of the caveman's in there because the wife is the one who's going to marry whoever's in charge and that rubbish. Um, they start fighting each other, and the doctor does eventually show them how to do a fire. The only problem is they start trying to fight them with it, and then they have to run off. And the actual main caveman did die by this time by his rival, and of course he didn't want them to actually escape anyway. So they went off and they tried to throw spears, and they were like, the doctor's friends, because they were still there, like, let's get us out of here, doctor, get us out of here. And that's basically what it was. It was just running to one end, to another end, to another end, back to the TARDIS. And that's what this episode was, really, against the cavemen. One side was, they were all evil, really. They just wanted to have fire, I would say. We're not evil. I don't know if you would call that evil. For me, I think episode 1 and the pilot was good. Episode 2's good. Episode 3 to 4, a bit of that gets a bit boring. And then when it leads to the Daleks, the next episode review, it gets a bit better, of course. But that'll be next time. I actually rated this 7 out of 10, maybe 6 or 7 out of 10, I'd say. It's a hard one to rate, that one, because, as I said, it's a lot of backwards and forwards. And if you can keep up with it, it's just that, and it's black and white. And I do like black and white, but it just depends on, the story, if it can keep me focused. Thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to comment, subscribe. Sorry if this one's a bit long. And goodbye for now. Bye-bye.